What if I told you that one of the most powerful tools for improving your English isn't grammar exercises or vocabulary lists? It's actually storytelling. Yep. Telling simple stories about your day, something funny that happened, or even a childhood memory can help you speak more fluently, build your vocabulary, and feel more confident. In this video, I'll show you why storytelling is such a game changer for language learners, how it works, and how you can start using it right away, even if you're not a natural storyteller. So how storytelling helps English learners improve? First, it builds vocabulary naturally. Telling or listening to stories exposes you to words in context, which helps you remember them better than memorizing them from a list. You learn not just what words mean, but how they're used in real-life situations. Idioms, phrasal verbs, expressions, and slang all become easier to pick up. Second, it improves fluency and sentence structure. When you tell a story, you naturally practice forming complete sentences using different tenses, transitions, and connectors like and then, suddenly, because, after that, etc. This helps your English sound more natural and fluid, like how native speakers talk. 3. It develops speaking confidence. Storytelling gives learners a reason to speak. It shifts the focus from trying to be perfect and instead encourages communication. You learn to trust yourself to describe events, explain feelings, or be funny, even if your grammar isn't perfect. 4. It strengthens listening and comprehension. Listening to others tell stories trains your ear to catch tone, rhythm, and intonation. You begin to understand English as it's spoken naturally, and this is something textbooks can't fully teach. 5. It makes learning more engaging and memorable. People are wired to remember stories, whether it's something personal, funny, dramatic, or emotional. Stories create emotional connection to the language, and that emotional hook makes vocabulary and grammar stick better. Now let's get to the most interesting part and the one that usually confuses people. What tense to use when telling stories? The tense people use when telling stories depends on the type of story, the context, and the style they want to create. So obviously, the past simple tense is the most common for storytelling. It's used for telling real-life events, past experiences, or fictional stories. It gives a clear timeline and is easy for listeners to follow. Let's take a look at these two examples. I woke up late, rushed out the door, and missed my bus. When I was a kid, I used to climb trees all the time. The next commonly used tense in storytelling is the past continuous. It's typically used to describe background and ongoing actions. For instance, it's often used when setting the scene or describing something happening in the background. It was raining when I left the house. People were dancing and laughing when I walked in. And now I want to take just a little break for the sponsor of today's video, Elsa Speak. There's nothing more frustrating for a language learner than wanting to improve their speaking skills but not having anyone to practice with. Finding a tutor can be hard and, let's be honest, pretty expensive. Luckily, we now live in an amazing era of technology and AI, and there are countless apps out there to help you improve your English. But that's exactly the problem, right? You don't know which one to choose. Well, let me introduce you to my favorite app, Elsa Speak. Not only does it help you practice real-time, real-life conversations.
Good morning, Hannah. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing well, thank you.
Do you prefer to continue with the next lesson of your learning path, or would you like to do a role play activity?
Let's do a role play activity.
Hello, I would like to check into my room, please.
Of course. Can I see your passport and your check-in information?
Thank you very much. Is breakfast included in my reservation?
Yes, it is. So our breakfast time is from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. But it also tailors lessons to your specific goals. Whether you're preparing for a job interview, ordering food at a restaurant, or making small talk with friends. Plus, it gives you personalized feedback and corrections. With Elsa, you can practice anytime, anywhere, and simulate real-life conversations with the AI coach. So if you're looking to improve your English, especially your speaking skills on your own, give Elsa a try. I'm sure you'll see a huge difference. So go ahead and download the Elsa app right now. Up next, we have the present perfect that is used for general experiences or connecting the past to the present. And of course, let's take a look at the examples. I've been to Paris twice. This is a statement about a past experience that is still relevant or part of the speaker's life experience. Have you ever tried bungee jumping? This is a question asking whether someone has had a certain experience at any point in their life up to now. But once you start telling the details, you usually switch to past simple. However, when people tell stories, especially in casual conversation, they very often use the present simple tense to make the story feel more vivid, real, and exciting. This is called the historic present or narrative present. Using the present tense instead of the past tense help listeners feel like they're experiencing events as they happen. Let's take a look at the example sentence in the past tense. So I walked into the room and this guy looked at me like I was crazy. Now same story using the present tense. So I walk into the room and this guy looks at me like I'm crazy. The second one feels more immediate, like the listener is right there with you. Let's take a look at two more examples. So I'm walking down the street, right? And suddenly this guy yells at me. She looks at me and says, "Are you serious?" This is very common in storytelling, of course, jokes, casual conversations, social media captions, and YouTube and TikTok storytelling videos. It's a style choice, not a grammar rule. You can absolutely use the past tense and be 100% correct. It just won't feel quite as in the moment. But switching between the past tense and the narrative present can totally change the tone, energy, and feel of a story. Here is an example that shows this difference clearly. Okay, so first we'll read this little story in the past tense version. Last weekend, I went to a small coffee shop downtown. I ordered my drink and sat near the window. A few minutes later, this guy walked in, tripped over a chair, and spilled his entire drink. I felt so bad for him, but also it was kind of funny. And now let's read it in the narrative present tense version. So last weekend, I go to this little coffee shop downtown, I order my drink, sit by the window, and then this guy walks in, trips over a chair, and spills his entire drink everywhere. I feel so bad for him, but I'm also like, oh no. It was kind of hilarious. So what changes with the present tense? It sounds like you're reliving it in real time. The pacing feels faster and more engaging, and it's more informal. It's great for conversations, storytelling videos, and captions. Why storytelling skills matter? Because it's how humans connect. In daily life, job interviews, social conversations, or even casual chats, people tell stories. If you can tell a good story, people will remember you, listen to you, and want to keep talking to you. It's a powerful communication tool. Whether you're persuading, teaching, or entertainment, storytelling allows you to make a point in a relatable and impactful way. It shows language mastery. Being able to tell a story well means that you can structure ideas, find the right words, create emotion, and connect with your audience. All key signs of fluency. And it also builds cultural understanding. Through stories, you not only practice English, you also learn about values, humor, and communication styles in English-speaking cultures. Now, a quick pro tip. Start by telling short, personal stories. For example, you can tell a story about the most embarrassing thing that happened to you, or about a day you'll never forget, or about something funny that happened to you last week. Tell it to yourself and record yourself, and try telling the same story over and over again for a week. Even a simple 30-second story practiced regularly can boost your confidence and fluency dramatically. Then, next time you tell it to someone else, it'll flow naturally. But it's not uncommon for people to use all of these tenses in one story as well. All right, so that'll be it for me. I hope you enjoyed this video. And you know what would be a great practice for you? If you could comment some kind of short story in the comments. How about that? And as usual, I'll see you in the next one.